Yo, what is going on, you guys? In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how you can go from this to this. If you are a newer player, mid-game player, or even end-game player and are unsure of how to get boss damage, but see others with extremely high boss damage and would want that for yourself, this is the perfect video for you. I'm going to be going over all sources of boss damage that you can obtain for yourself. Now, keep in mind, some classes just have naturally high boss damage. So if you see someone with extremely high boss damage and are curious how you can get there, it might just be because of their class. But saying that, let's get right into the video. Starting off on this list, we have familiars, everyone's favorite system. Familiars are an RNG based system that can give boss damage. Now, if you guys are unfamiliar of how to get familiars, pretty much you just have to farm, level up that familiar, rank it up to epic or unique, reveal it, and hope and pray that you hit boss damage. Keep in mind, hitting boss damage lines on familiars are extremely rare, and this is probably going to be one of the hardest things to hit boss damage on, so don't rely on familiars for your boss damage, especially if you're a newer player, mid-game player. Don't rely on familiars. It's something you can focus on later down the line, but it's something that I wanted to mention because it is an extremely high source of boss damage, as you can get 340 boss familiars and hit a total of 120% boss on your fams. Now, obviously hitting 120% boss is extremely lucky, but you get the point. You get a ton of boss damage from familiars. Next on the list, we have Legion blocks. Not the Legion board, but the Legion blocks themselves. Now, these Legion block characters give a very small percentage of boss damage, but it all adds up, and these Legion block characters that give boss damage are Kana and Demon Avenger. At level 200, they give 5% boss damage, and at level 250 they give 6% boss damage each. But most people will only get these to level 200 because going to level 250 for 1% extra boss damage is just not worth it. Next up, we have hyperstats. You can find these hyperstats in your stat window by opening up your stats and clicking hyperstat at the bottom left. There will then be a boss damage tab that you can put points into to increase your boss damage. Hyperstats are a great way to obtain boss damage and is something everybody should be utilizing. Now, moving on from hyperstats, we have link skills. Link skills are skills that you obtain by getting a character to level 60, 120, and level 210. The characters that give boss damage are Demon Slayer and Beast Tamer. Demon Slayer gives 10% boss damage at level 1, 15% boss damage at level 2, and 20% boss damage at level 3. Beast Tamer gives 4% boss damage at level 1, 7% at level 2, and 10% at level 3. Link skills are an extremely crucial part for progression, and if you're unsure of what link skills even are, we do have a full video explaining link skills, how you should go about prioritizing them in the order you should complete these link skills. I'll leave that video linked down in the description. Now, right after link skills, we have your Legion board. The Legion board gives a ton of boss damage. It also gives a ton of other benefits like IED, crit damage, crit rate, attack, main stat, and much more. If you want to learn more about the Legion board, we do have a couple videos on the Legion board as well, which I will link down in the description. Moving on, we have your weapon and secondary, not your emblem. You guys didn't know emblems cannot get boss damage, so if you are a newer player, mid-game player, stop rolling your emblem for boss damage. It's impossible to get. You can only get attack and IED, but your weapon and secondary can get boss damage. You can get 2 boss damage lines total on your weapon, or your secondary you cannot get 3 lines of boss damage. But regardless, weapon and secondary are a great way to get your boss damage. Most classes only need around 2 lines of boss damage on their weapon and secondary, so don't go crazy and roll like 4 lines total. I would ask around in your class Discord to see what your optimized weapon, emblem, and secondary is. Next up, we have guild skills. Now, if you guys are a newer player or a mid-game player and are not in a guild, I highly recommend joining a guild. Not only do you get guild skills, but you do get passive passive skills as well. Your guild skills are going to give you a total of 30% boss damage, and on top of boss damage, they do give 30% ID, 30% damage, and 30% crit damage if they are maxed out. So once again, join a guild. It is an amazing way to get boss damage for your character. This buff lasts 30 minutes and has a cooldown of 60 minutes. Now there are a few other consumables that do give boss damage. We're going to talk about the red sparkling potion that drops from bosses. Now you get this potion from a variety of bosses. I wouldn't worry too much about getting it as it is RNG based, and most of the early game bosses don't drop this potion. But if you are doing normal root abyss or chaos root abyss, sometimes there is a shop that spawns after killing the boss, and red sparkling potions do sometimes spawn in those shops. If you see one, buy it. If you see a white one, buy it. The shops are very useful and sometimes can spawn back to back to back to back red sparkling potions, so make sure you make use of those shops. Don't skip out on them. Finally on this list, we have event buffs. Now these event buffs come around randomly, but for the most part we usually have event buffs going year round. You can put points into event buffs from completing the quests that come with these events. The event buffs do vary, but they do give quite a bit of boss damage, as the one we're in right now gives 35% boss damage when it's maxed out. And sometimes these events will also give you consumables on top of the event buffs that do give boss damage, so sometimes you can get around like 60% boss damage from these events. Really good way to optimize your bossing, so take advantage of these events when they do come around. Now those are all the ways and systems, buffs that I know that boost your boss damage. If I did miss anything, feel free to leave it in the comments down below. I hope this video did help you guys out a ton. Boss damage does take a while to get, but it is extremely rewarding when you get it, and does increase your damage in bosses a ton. But as always, I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.